Greetings and welcome to my dear Libra. This is Ron from Tarot of the Twin Sun. Tarot of the Twin Sun is a functional division within the Order of the Twin Sun. Please take only what you will. This is a reading for June already? June. Holy shimolians. This is pretty intense. This year is almost finished. I hope you're having a good time. I want to essentially take a step back and take this reading in a very objective way to reiterate the integrity of the practice that is through the Order of the Twin Sun. Yeah, we will be refreshing, hitting the big refresh button in terms of purging anything in terms of connections that may have been tied to narratives in the past. The past is the past. Now we look towards the month of June. June and beyond May, but primarily in June 2023, this reading is going to be for the 7th house, that is Libra's energy. Okay, now with the axis of cardinal air and fire, that is to the 7 and the 1st, there is an encapsulation of the alchemical air and fire working together, so that there is an intelligible way to understand the mechanisms of the Fool. Okay, in Major Arcana, the Fool represents Aryan energy, and in this there is a way to understand the relationships that Libras go through the finger of God, through the hand of God, the finger of God, the Yod formation, that is the 12th and the 2nd houses. Okay, that is mutable Piscean energy into the 2nd house through the auspices of Mars and the 1st. Okay, and this movement actually will help you to understand what are the main primary motivations of significant others according to Libraic energy, according to Libra's energy. Okay, so the scales are here to balance out these individuals in their choice to act in their foolish way, let's call it that, that essentially inspire through the exemplar of the whole wheel of the zodiac, the first step, the giant step, the first act of creation, the impulse, the reaction, the reactive quality of Aries is here. Okay, and in this, the relationships that Libras go through in terms of sacrifice, in terms of being walked over, it's through the actions of others, which are usually reactive in nature. They have no responsibility usually, but at the same time they inspire through the exemplar what Libra can help to balance out. See, that's the thing. Libras tend not to exist without the existence of another. They're very humanitarian in that nature, and therefore there needs to be some sort of connection in order to understand, especially through cardinal energy, cardinal earth and fire, how to project, how to also disintegrate from the projection, and to also to how to support those that are exemplars, that take the first step, that believe in their own faith, however ridiculous it may be. And there we have it, the dance between Mars and Venus in the axis of the 7th and the 1st essentially help to spin and weave a narrative in which Libras are able to contain, to balance out, and to also, in the service of another, give their energies to. Okay, so there is this constant projective energy in the 7th house that has to do with selfless service. Okay, selfless service that is desired and can be a disservice actually to Libra. Therefore, it's necessary to step back from these relationships and to objectify, to have clarity of mind, presence of mind in essentially this interesting axis, because it also is an axis of war and peace. Through war comes peace, and peace is also a prelude to war, or something like this, which is a very difficult way of understanding things. It's part of the flux, the general flux of existence. So all of that set aside, we shall now go into a reading known as the Great Mirror. I think I might also do astrology for the month of June. As far as I'm concerned, as far as I know, this past eclipse cycle in May has been quite intense in terms of the focus on the 8th house. Okay, So any eighth house placements, anything that's tied to Mars, okay, or Pluto, which is usually, it's accentuated in the seventh house, let's say, according to a Libra ascendant, essentially it activates relationships, okay? And with the Mercury retrograde in May, these relationships can be extremely debilitating in terms of trying to have proper communication with others in terms of these relationships. And as far as I recall, Libras were dealing with something pretty gnarly. So hopefully this month will be different, or let's not project and let's go ahead and get into the reading. Firstly, I would like to start off with a bit of karma. Now, karma is a trigger word for many people. It is also very tied to religious sort of discourse. Let's leave that aside. Basically, what karma is in terms of this reading is basically actions, okay? Actions that need to be understood, that need to be executed in terms of the auspicious energies of Mars and Mercury. And basically, it's the mind bringing into fruition through the subconscious, bringing into the conscious some form of action or reaction that can deal with the month of June, May, June. Yeah, so we're going to be going into this in terms of Libra's energy for the month of June 2023. Interesting. Okay, so there is a choice to let go of something that is not serving you. I mean, that is a very cliche way of opening up a tarot reading, but therein we have it. It's Ace of Cups in reverse and the Two of Rods. Follow your heart's desire. I feel that if you've been dealing with anything in the past month that has to do with inauthentic forms of expression, inauthentic forms of love, it's because there needed to be something to purge. I mean, this is typical. The thing is that I would say it's not a cycle of regret. I think you have a presence of mind right now that is very clear, a lot of clarity coming in for you in June. Okay, and this can have to do with the movement into Gemini season. If I'm not correct about that, I will make amends. But what I see here is an ability to really be clear about what you are walking into. And there's something here about deep intensity letting itself go. A maturity process, actually. It's like you're feeling numb, but then you don't know why. You're choosing to make a choice, and this choice is leading to something that is led by your heart primarily. No head in this discourse. There's no head action. There's not a lot of thinking. And that's what I'm seeing right now. You're being led to something. The Two of Cups showing up twice here with the Two of Cups. Definitely double confirmation as well. Let's see here. 7 in the reverse. 7 in the reverse. It's very clear. The 7 in reverse is doubly reinforced. 7 of Cups in reverse is doubly reinforced. That means that there is no mire, there's no trammel, okay? There's no net or there's no like jungle that will prevent you from clarity and presence of mind. The Two of Cups is showing up, and it's a very strange Two of Cups. Let's see here. It could also be the Three of Cups. Friends are going to be very important for you this month. There also is a change of heart, and a letting go of something. Um, let's see here, 5 of Cups in the near future. It's as if you let go. It's something that you knew you had to do. What is this leading to? Okay, this is leading to something very stable. There's a lot of emotional turmoil, confusion, and then clarity in that confusion. Chaos and then clarity in that chaos when it comes to especially what can contain your own sort of empathic understanding of things. It's as if you're absorbing through others valuable information that will help you to place you on the right path. Okay, this is leading to the 2 of Cups and the 10 of Cups. There's also a very strong possibility of 7. There it is again, 7. The 7 in reverse. It's very clear, and then the 5. You're gonna find a lot of people who are going through the same shit as you. If this has to do with a separation, there is some form of slight regret cycle in it, but your friends are going to be supporting you. There also is still a thread of love in that. God, I hope it's not something where it's like they want to come back or some shit. This is all sounding very cliche, very old school paradigm romantic stuff here. In the near past, you've been through a lot of shit, especially in the month of May. A lot. This has to do with the energy of Mars, a lot of tension with others, and then also losing faith in certain connections with others. You've been through it. There's a lot of scarring that's going on in that previous month. What it's moving towards is this sort of shared melancholy with your comrades, with people who are of the same ilk or the same tribe. And it brings a sense of charity, of community with others. Okay, now there also is some form of pain of getting on the wrong path, taking the wrong path, taking your power back, and then this leading you into some sort of maturity of mind, maturity of heart. As you move forward, you're going to be returning to the scene of a lot of emotions that have been informing you, and you're going to make healing in this. Okay, it's going to provide you with rest and also a way to retrace why you chose what you did. Okay, and this is all leading to a way to break free from this cycle and get to the understanding, which is once again the Ace of Cups in the reverse. Now, I'd hate to be someone with a 2x4 that's going to go towards you and give you the sort of, constructive tool to wake up when it comes to something. This has to do with an inner process in which you were dealing with a mirror, and in this mirror, you saw yourself, and you realized how much there might have been limitations in the production of, let's say, a loving connection with somebody else. Now, the funny thing is that this other person, every time you got into a situation with them, I see it as a way of them talking to themselves in the mirror as they project it onto you. And in this respect, everything diminutive or anything that was not within respect or within a loving sort of way, in a loving way, and anything that was dark or negative or anything like that was basically an attack on themselves, okay, in terms of their incapability to be lovely, to be a loving sort of agent of love. Therefore, the Ace of Cups is in the reverse, and because of such, there needs to be a process of reconnecting, healing again. Okay. Nine of Cups in reverse. Yeah, choice was made to begin something. That choice is no longer within the lineage. There's a need to essentially find good health by returning to that in which you've already invested into in terms of a cycle of regret. And this ultimately it's not going to last a long time. I think the healing process in this situation would be more efficient, let's call it that much. As well, if it isn't like what you may have been going through, if it isn't like a product of, let's say, a corrupted connection, where you had to sort of try to understand your reality, their reality, how there was, you know, a sort of suspension of all of that. I think there is a possibility that the healing process would be a lot quicker if you get to realize that it was just basically a gigantic fraudulence, okay, a scam. And as soon as you get to know that, then there will be an immediate instant, like an instant karma button. You hit that button and automatically things reset. There's an alignment, and you won't have to go through years of trauma getting over this connection, let's say. Now, that is a very particular read in terms of karma, but I do like the Ten of Cups and the Two of Cups that's showing up. There's something or somebody else, somebody new, that should be able to fulfill whatever you might have been going through in terms of a sour connection. You know, it could be love, could be someone who's familiar, someone who's a friend, someone who's in your workplace, anything, any connection like that. There was, in the past reading, there was a lie. Confronting that lie in this reading, it has to do more with the suspension of disbelief, trying to understand what really occurred, trying to retrace the steps, and coming clear that it wasn't real. You know, it wasn't a product of a loving sort of connection. And I think we have to be real when it comes to the possibility of that. Okay. Now we are moving, my dear Libras, into the spread known as the Great Mirror. The Great Mirror is a 9-card spread designed by the Order of the Twin Sun to see particular karmas that may exist on a subconscious, unconscious, and conscious levels, on subconscious, conscious, and unconscious levels between Libra and a significant other. Okay, they can be significant or insignificant as you will. But we're going to go very deeply to see the mirror and to understand the motivations and the influences that exist between Libra and the significant other, okay, however insignificant they may be also. Okay, for this month, I do see an agent here that is tied to primarily the 4th and the 10th house axis, okay? There is a connection here that has to do with being set free and to preserving your own inner world, okay? Now, this can be reflective of both parties. But what I see here is a language of loyalty that exists between two parties that also binds them together in a deep, intense way. I would recommend to try to find some form of ritual or some form of intention when it comes to the preservation of your own liberty and your own inner temple. Okay? Meaning that you have to clean inside yourself, in the mind especially, and to make sure that your cords are clear, that your sutra is prepared, that your way of doing things in terms of the preservation of your own society inside yourself is pristine, it's clear. The best way to do this is, of course, to, well, for one thing, clean your house, clean everything in terms of that, make sure it's pristine. Also, there is something about cleaning the own inner world and making sure that you're healthy, of course, that there's no loose ends when it comes to things that you must do so that they don't plague the mind. The mind has to be still right now. There's information coming in detail during the night cycle, during sleep cycles, so make sure that is taken care of in terms of regularity and properly sleeping proper hours in order to filch information from the astral realm, the Akash, anything of the etheric archives. There's information here that has to do with a connection that is primarily karmic in nature, that has to do with Saturn as a father figure and the moon as a mother figure, masculine, feminine. Now, when it comes to this, this speaks about the creation of a connection that is based on languages and key phrases that signify and trigger each other into lunacy, into a way of thinking about things that actually triggers the wrong things. Not necessarily wrong. I mean, the point here is that there needs to be proper boundaries, as with every relationship. And the binding here is very strong. It's in the detail, and it has to do with neurological systems that are aligned together, meaning that there are things that are said that have to be set to paper, that have to be understood. They can also be purged in some sort of way by objectifying them, by truly identifying them and being aware of their power. There is a way to be set free from this, okay? So it's a force majeure, and this has to do with hope that comes through faith. But at the same time, there is a great need for understanding what it was that was said that created this connection to be so binding. There is a way to be set free, but right now there's a lot of impatience, especially with the way things are offered up. This person is a mirror. At the same time, you guys are mirrors to each other. At the same time, it's as if it's become distorted and kind of ugly. There it is, the Three of Swords, and it's leading up to what? Okay, instability in terms of health. If you're still dealing with an unhealthy connection, especially for my repeat followers and viewers, there is a way to exit this by finding and retracing the steps of fear, okay? In this, there's going to be a reactive quality, and there was something about the situation that was supposed to congeal or to be mixed in a certain way, but that couldn't happen, okay? Now, let's move on. That's the thing. I think mostly for the Libras that are still here, this has to do with the sort of a debilitation, not debilitation, but where Venus is placed, okay? Now, when Venus is properly placed in the auspices of, say, Taurian energy, okay, then there is a utility about it. There's a way that, that Taurus operates in terms of the softness and the grace of Taurus, the slow lumbering grace of, say, a cow that grazes on the fields. That is very Taurus. And it can be very extravagant. There is a slowness to Libra right now that has to do with sensual attraction to that which is commonplace, to that which you may be used to. And there's a natural gravity to go that way, but your horse is being pulled the other way. And even though you may want to commit in some sort of way, let's see. There's something that you have to do more of, which is essentially getting rid of the trauma that occurred with temperance in reverse, okay? When temperance is in reverse like this, there is a need to understand that alchemy sometimes is a failure, meaning that the process to rectify or to sublime metallic works through flux and through the philosopher's stone, the purity of gold, okay? It is achievable, but without patience, it is not. And there's something here about you taking it really easy in the month of June and essentially embracing the star's energy. Now the star, as opposed to combining the different agents of the Two of Cups into a mixed energy, the star does the exact opposite. It's from the 9th to the 11th house. Okay, and the 11th house is about future paradigms, by being influenced by the heavens in order to approach moksha, and to approach the 4th house and liberation, Cancer's energy. Okay, so we have here a very fixed energy wherein consciously you may be drawn to this person. At the same time, they're represented by union in reverse, okay? The Hierophant in reverse. When the Hierophant's in reverse, they are no longer invested, but they're still connected. They are no longer invested, but they're still connected, okay? This has to do with promises that were created or uttered through the darker aspects of the Hierophant in reverse. Now, when the Hierophant and the High Priestess are together in the Arcana, then there's a great spiritual connection that has to do with the sublimation of the heavens and the heavenly realm into the material realm. At the same time, because the lovers are in reverse and the Hierophant is here in the reverse, there's a duplicity about the Hierophant that I don't necessarily trust. There's a lot of Taurian energy between both of you, meaning that there is a natural affinity in terms of subtlety, in terms of subtle behaviors that are based on simplicity as well as in grace through Venus's embodiment. Okay, so this has to do with sensual pleasure. It's a very pleasurable connection, and there is a type of union and utility about it. But both of you are waiting for each other, waiting for the right time, waiting at least 3 months for some sort of return of some sort. The thing is that you have your resources, you know where else to put them, you are called to go into the future, but this person still has a bind on you. It's very, very strongly indicated through Capricorn's energy. The devil is in the details. Also, the Hierophant in reverse. Also, possibly the Magician or even Gemini here. I mean, it's been pointed to already. The Sun in reverse, for example. What they want is to be cold and distant, but still be alert about you, meaning that they will observe you from a distance and try to essentially be very cold and detached from the connection. They're waiting for a deep change that is supposed to be occurring for them. They're waiting for a gateway, a portal, in order to envision something, some form of healing craft. And I think you, through this connection, are primarily learning on a very deep soul level how to liberate yourself from the mental prison of the mind. Okay, basically this is about liberation, freedom. Truth being your most absolute paramour when it comes to any connection is actually best to be held right now and forever when it comes to this connection. They represent for you a gateway into a path of healing. They also bring forward primarily the Magician's energy in here. This also has to do with Aries energy, so it's the 1st and the 3rd houses. This is about creating a voice in the darkness, trying to understand how things may be obscured naturally through the path of the closure of the major arcana, through Neptune in its closure. To get rid of the veil, to pierce through the veil. This is what is supposed to be occurring, okay, in this connection. So in that respect, there is great hope and luxury in this connection, but time is also a luxury we cannot afford, especially when you are called to do something useful with yourself and to begin to contribute your resources to your own field, to your own future. Okay, and this requires a lot of detachment. It has to do with letting go of the Two of Cups energy that's been cropping up in the past 2 months for Libras, and also breaking free from anything that has to do with a psychological block for you and for them. Okay, they're detached, they're very cold. What is their challenge? Their challenge is to essentially understand why they've been so critical. A part of them is very artificial. They're hiding from you something that has to do with deep pain that is matured in nature. A lot of mature pain on their end, a maturing cycle of pain. At the same time, they're hiding something with the two of Swords in the reverse and then one in the upright. They're hiding something. We can look deeper into what they're hiding. Your challenge is to essentially, it's kind of like, it's your intuition versus your fear. There is a need to ground, and it's like intuition versus fear. How to become emotionally intelligent, you already are. You're doing the right thing and actually purging this connection if it needs to be purged. To let go of false pretenses when it comes to love, or the impressions of love, or the idealizations of love. Let that go. If you are acting truly in Aquarian fashion, or at least protecting the inner sanctum of your mind and your soul and yourself, do that. It's very important to also let go of any senses of empowerment that have trapped you in the past. Go through the changes, break through those psychological barriers. You can do it. There also is something here about the Ace of Rods when it comes to what is coming about here. I think both of you may already know that the choice has been made to let go of this. And in this sense, there's mutual prosperity in the foundational work that is occurring here, in the mutual understanding and the respect that comes through distance, that comes through a good fence. Okay? I've never fenced in my life. I'm talking about fences between neighbors, but also fencing as in taking a sword and using it in order to riposte or to lance through, or to deflect or reflect certain movements between two people. And when this occurs, it's the mind, and there's a respect that the minds can meld, they can bend for each other, they can also be used to attack each other or to defend one's own propriety, one's own authority. This is just a gross analogy of what is capable in terms of this connection. This person is doing a lot of bending in this respect. They have a vision, and it has to do with their own healing practice, their own idealization of purity, their own medicine. It's purely their own. And in this respect, you mirror them with the Eight of Swords in the reverse of how to break out of this fixity, okay? There's a lot of self-development on both sides. And that's a very good thing. There needs to be patience in this enterprise if it's going to work out. I think both of you are making a choice not to interfere with each other. Therefore, there is a sense of prosperity that can occur in this. At the same time, this connection is symbolized through the sun breaking through obscurity and light coming into all of it. Okay, so it's not necessarily a bad connection, nor is it a good one, but it does provide you the impetus of how to find a way for it so that your energy and your time, your resources are honored in a certain way. Okay. And if this requires you to get rid of any artificial connections or any sort of bullshit when it comes to the idea of what love could be in terms of self-motivation, self-growth, self-responsibility as well, the humanitarian edge, I think your steps and bounds beyond this person's energy, and you should just stick to your own thing. For now. Use your intuition. It is your best tool. Be careful. There's something about them that is artificial. They're hiding something. They're hiding a lot of pain. That's what I think they are doing. They want to numb it out even further and be angry in terms of that. I don't know why, but it's also because you have to execute the Star card. You have to execute the letting go of pretentious forms of love that are no longer serving you nor them. And it's your responsibility to do that in order to fulfill your sense of inner sanctum, your own temple, your home, your own body. Okay, it needs to go through some form of healing process, and that's what I'm seeing for this reading. Now, if you're still here, the advice here is that this was possibly a miserable connection. Too much fusion occurred. Somebody let go of their shadows, and in this they found power. The shadow was doing what it did, and then in this there was power, there was freedom, there was the freedom to do whatever, to say whatever they wanted. And essentially this brought forward a commitment here to an old way of doing things that was not very authentic for my Libra, for the Libra that I know. Therefore, it was very disharmonious, and there was a connection there, but it more has to do with trauma, feeling like it wasn't the right path. Okay, something had to be declared. What I see here is ultimately judgment, calling the bullshit down this shit, if it was bullshit. And that's the thing. I think you have to give it some time. There will be a return into understanding the motivations of why things had to turn out the way they did in terms of love. But the chaos was just too much, I think, especially during the full moon in Scorpio. And this person needs to understand that it's not cool to just let go and let things occur when it comes to their own cycles of rage or passion or shadow or whatever. Yeah, there was a huge, I would call it a huge ego death on both sides of this story. And that is where I'm going to leave it. Now, in terms of like how to deal with this situation, I would recommend to make the space, the sanctuary that is your own, and to reclaim and to maintain your boundaries when it comes to that. There's a way to do this if you honor primarily the moon's energy, okay? There is a way for you to revisit any psychological blocks when it comes to the stratification of the mind by thinking of things in terms of binary, okay? By organizing things. If you clarify the data streams that are coming to you, you clarify and you filter out, and you essentially recode your system in terms of brain neurological systems and like memory systems there, then you can bring to light anything that was said between you and this person that would essentially be seen as clear or as deletable, as something that you can karmically purge, that you can just get rid of that debt somehow. This requires a lot of meditation and prayer and intention. Karmically, there may be cords, so cord cutting could also be done in order to make this the situation clear. Time will only tell, though, but I do see some form of judgment and some sort of reclamation in the future. Somebody will wake up after the ego death, let's say that much, and both of you are obviously going to wake up through some form of ego death destruction with the Tower card that was pointed out. And then there is a calling. Whatever that calling is, could be somewhere new, futuristic. There's going to be a lot of animation in the next 4 months, I would say. A lot of animation. So buckle up and safely. I do wish you well, blessings and all of that, my dear Libras. Always one hell of a ride, this thing we call life. Do wish you well. Thank you, and please take care now. Thank you. Bye bye.